You are now live. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a time and a half. It's been a long time since I've been on what is this? I can't even think of it. Ustream or on YouTube period, especially live. So I want to welcome everybody and I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but it took me that long to get this straight. And I mean it's a long time to
But
get
we
it
did it.
straight. So we're here. I'm presented. There won't be any commercials because I didn't do any commercials. You blame it on my brother. That's what I'm gonna do. I didn't have time to do it. I was on the phone with him until late last night. I think it was like 11 o'clock, and I was testing the studio at the same time. So and everything looked like it was good yesterday, or but today I don't know.
Everything's in divine order.
Yeah, well, no Mercury gray. At least usually I can say, "Oh, it's Mercury gray. It's
Well,
blocking
but
obstacles."
Saturn has moved into Aries, so that is the energy we're dealing with.
Okay, explain a little bit more about that.
I'm not an astrologer, but that's what kept coming up when I was on YouTube. There's a couple of people I listened to, and one woman popped up, and she was just saying, "Oh my goodness, this Saturn's moving into Aries, and what that means is the old structures are crumbling." That's all I remember her
Okay.
saying, and I said, "Okay, we got to go back and study." Kwame would be the one maybe who could tell us, but I don't know where he is. I could send him a link to
Well, the
join.
thing is, I also was going. I have a number that I put on the recording. I got a free conference line for people, so we're gonna have to do this again. Um, where I go, so they can call in, so I can have an we can have an audience. So this is my first show in many, many moons, and I plan to start back. I just wanted to test it out. And one subject I wanted to talk about was the homeless epidemic that is going on, and especially for the elderlies. So I invited holistic life coach Viata Robinson to talk about it because we both know a couple people that are going through that. And it was funny. You were talking, and I have a friend that's going through it now about homelessness. One on the West Coast, and she's elderly. She's a little bit older, but she's not elderly. We all having some issues with family, and we are forgetting, like, when I grew up, the family stayed together. And what I mean is that your husband, your wife, or whatever, y'all were all in the house, right? So my granny, abuela, whatever you want to call them, we grew up in the house like all the children grew up. Like Nanny had the bedroom with Papa, and then the kids had the other bedroom with two beds and they share, and it was nothing, boy on one side, girl on the other. And then you go upstairs to the third floor, then there's two beds. Then it might be, if it's bigger, then you have your auntie and your uncle and your cousins because that room was bigger. Then you go into the other room, and then your parents might be there because that's just enough room for a bed. Now, growing up like that, that meant that each generation was able to save up and get a house. And when it's each person, when they were married, that's when they kind of came back to, I remember them coming back to my nanny's house, and they had children. So it was like, okay, you're single, you can do it, or, you can live with your grandmother down the street. Because this is a rare incident that I got to see people that look like me that had houses, and we were all related. Like, that was my cousin, that's my aunt's house, that's my this house, the whole block. But we had maybe, okay, don't say the whole block. We had maybe three people that were not kind of related to us, but we were all related. We were cousins. So I thought everybody had houses where I grew up. I didn't know anything about apartment. I never been in an apartment. I was not raised in an apartment. My granny canned everything. See, I'm talking like old school. apple tree, vegetables, all of this stuff I was used to. But Granny made sure that you ate breakfast, lunch, dinner. Granny actually went to school and was with you in the lunch lady. That's the kind of old school that I'm talking about that we have kind of missed out because we're so busy trying to kick the elderly out and not take care of them or help them out, or we're trying to take over what they got and don't realize they built that to leave behind for you and you don't appreciate it. But then there could be some other incidents where it's not how do I put it? It's not feasible because it's abusive and they don't recognize their pattern of abuse and don't want to get help. So in that instant, I could see not wanting to stay in that environment, but I believe in family helping family. Like you build on. So when that older generation is getting an aid, she's got someone there helping her. She's not there by herself trying to go to the bathroom, trying to go to the doctors and feeding and clothing. So it's a structure set up that's in a way I think why I admire some of the Asian culture, because they take care of their elderly and they believe their elderly have wisdoms. They do some of that in some parts of Africa. They do that in some of our indigenous family. This is a tradition. And for us, I know, in American indigenous people, we take care of our elderly. We stay with them and we grow and we build up. But now they're on the streets. Now they're talking to themselves. You know what I mean? It's a real epidemic where they don't have a support system. Instead of them getting the support they need in their, I want to say their twilight life, they're not. They're actually being more burdened to cook, clean, and take care of them all over again. It's like they raising their great grandchildren all over and their children, and they're not being respected. And I was talking about this with my brother today. So how do you feel about this generation and coming up and seeing this in your eyes? Have you seen what I'm seeing, or what are you seeing?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that beautiful history you just gave, because each of us has our story and our history, right? I grew up in an apartment. I didn't live in a house. I grew up in an apartment on 47th Street in Chicago. And my mother was alcoholic. And so I dealt with that addiction energy most of my young life. I didn't have this close-knit family. But what did happen early in my life, my grandfather was a pastor.
Mhm.
So in Southern Illinois, we would drive. In fact, as a baby, I was taken to Southern Illinois and baptized by my grandfather into the gospel of Jesus Christ, because he was a pastor of a Church of God in Christ. So most of my young life, my apartment living in Chicago contrasted to my grandfather's house in Southern Illinois, where he built his own house. Not only that,
Nice.
he built his own church. So growing up in the gospel
Nice.
of Jesus Christ and then living in the Chicago urban area was very educational for me. So now, sister, if you think about how fast technology has advanced from that time, we're talking about late 50s, early 60s for me, growing up with that type of transient grandpa's house to urban Chicago, and then divorce of my parents, alcohol. So technology started coming in really fast for us as a people on this planet, right? And so now we're looking at the age of Aquarius coming in. And what I'm finding out with the age of Aquarius is things are moving faster, and we have to adjust to all this technology, all this energy, and the changes you just mentioned, that we no longer see intergenerational or multi-generational family households. We see a lot of young people, millennials, while concentrating on their phones and looking at how to make more money. Everything on social media seems to be about how can you make more money. And so the focus that we are experiencing, looking at now, is so transformational in terms of we got to adjust or you're out of here or you're going to suffer. And what has just happened with the monks to me is the most important event of our lifetime, because we are now we need to focus on the fact that we have not been mindful. That's why the family structure has broken down. We got war in non-ending wars, non-ending wars. And this man who showed up as a monk, who in my opinion is the return of Christ, is now reminding us that you all haven't been too mindful, and that's why you're mirroring your chaos inside of you. And that's why we've had endless wars, because the war hasn't stopped inside of us. We haven't been able to keep up with the pace of technology, the change in our urban areas, and all that family structure. So I wrote a book about that experience with my sister, and how that changed me was I had to start looking at disease differently and looking at the way I manage my emotions differently. And it was the beginning of Emotional Intelligence, this book that I wrote, because it really highlights the German New Medicine philosophy about mindfulness and your connection with your emotions, your brain, and your body. That's what my book is really focusing on. How we need to understand really this biological computer that creates disease when we're not mindful. Basically, that's why I've been so excited watching the venerable monk walking as a return of Yeshua the Christ, because this is what has to me has been missing in the adjustment from your history that you just talked about and where we are now, where people are tired, they're suffering, they're in pain. And that's why the monk felt like he had to take this 111-day walk, because he saw too much suffering all over the world. And he said, I got to do something about it. So I'm going to walk the talk and talk the walk for 111 days. This to me is the most important event of our time, because Christians, Catholics, everybody been waiting for the return of Jesus, aka Jesus and Yeshua, and they didn't really know what he would look like, in my opinion. I have talked to so many people that who about the missing years of Christ from the age of 12 to 30, which was the majority of his time on earth. Between the time he was so-called crucified, it was all about what was he doing between the age of 12 and 30. That was the majority of his time on earth. And when you talk to religious minds and the spiritually blind, they're like, well, he wasn't in India. I'm like, yeah, he was. But they don't want to accept that. And so they're missing the lesson of it's time for us to walk like the monks, meditate like the monks, breathe like the monks, live like the monks. And they're like, oh no, he was just a good man. He walked for 111 days in the snow and the ice and the cold and the wind. And all he did was, oh, he was a good man showing us how to meditate. No, honey, it's bigger than that, much bigger. So that's why what you're saying, we need to talk about new housing. New housing. We cannot live like we used to live anymore, because guess what? The system is against us. They don't want tiny houses on land. They're trying to remove tiny houses off of land. They're trying to move people out of their cars. They're trying to move people out of their vans. They do not want people in alternative, cheaper, affordable housing. The system, I'm saying, when I say they, we're talking about the governments of our country are making laws that eliminate or prevent people from having cheap, affordable housing. So what do? You and I have been put together to create affordable housing. I'm living in one. I lived in for 5 years. I lived in a tiny house on wheels, affordable housing in a community that was just amazing. And I had to give up, I had to divorce and give up my big house to do that. But it was a lesson I needed. That's what we're doing right now, sister. We're getting so many lessons that we need to help other people. For you, or for instance, help veterans who are homeless, to help other people build a new kind of housing. because
Right.
we can't go back to the McMansions, the 5 bedroom, 3 or 6 bath houses. For one thing, most Black people don't know how to manage or maintain those type of houses. That's how to come they lose them and we get gentrified because you don't know how to manage that big house. So
Right.
it's like the universe has been kind of nudging at us. I don't think you need that big house. Oh yeah, I do. Look at Hollywood. Look at them. If the white man has a big house, I can have a big house. Well, you don't know how to manage your house, so you don't have the money to manage it or maintain it, and that's why you keep losing it. So now you and I have been put together to help people learn how to create affordable, comfortable, safe housing. And it's not going to be no McMansion with 5 bedrooms and 3, because we don't need that anymore. Unless you got 12 kids or 6 kids, you don't need a big house anymore. We just
Right.
need to help people get affordable housing. And
Right.
that's what my assignment is, and your assignment, as well as learning to manage this temple that our soul is in. That's my mission right now, and that's why I'm partnering with you to help us build communities that we people can have affordable housing and they don't have to suffer. The monk said the reason people suffer because they don't have mindfulness. They are reacting to everything. They're reacting to Trump. They're reacting to the Epstein files. What does the Epstein files have to do with most of us? Not a damn thing. It's a sideshow, people, and you're being distracted.
Distraction.
Like the monk said, it's a monkey mind that you're dealing with. Oh, look at Trump over there. Look at the Epstein file. Look at all these billionaires who were involved in the Epstein files. And what does that have to do with me? Let me close that out of my mind and work on my breath and keeping the peace within. So that's where I think we got to focus right now is stop buying into being distracted by all the things going on in this world around us. And let's just create the inner peace that will help the communities and the world become more peaceful and stop being distracted. So that's my
Right.
story right now as I see it.
Right. So let's talk about, tiny house living, because there's other alternatives that we're going to talk about tonight. Tiny house living, and you said I remember it was a house, what did you say, 230 square feet?
I
How
was
long?
in 160 in my five house on wheels,
Okay.
160 square. It was 80 by 20 on wheels, and I lived there for 5 years.
And how did you first go and decide that that's what you want, the tiny house on wheels? What made you say,
Well,
"Oh, that's what I want"?
when I got my divorce, I had to find another house. We sold our house, our 2,000 some square feet house, and I had to find another place to live. So the first place I found was a condo, a 900 square foot condo. And when they told me my rent was going to be $1,000 a month for, the next 12 months, I'm like, ooh, I got to find something better cheaper than this. This ain't going to work
Right.
for me. I'm not going to be able to pay that for long. So I was looking at alternative housing from this condo, and I saw a tiny house on wheels that a woman was renting. And I said, I could do that. I think I could do that. So I inquired. She had already sold it, but she gave me the name of the builder of this house. So I
Nice.
went to the builder. He had a brand new tiny house on his lot. I had to have things added and some. And I had to find a place to put it. That was the challenge. I
Okay.
bought it because I had money from the sale of our house, and I put money on this tiny house. And so I had to find a place. I could not find any place in Orlando City to put this house. No way, no. They just zoning laws galore. You're gonna have to move out of the city. So I found a place in the country, basically, Umatilla, Florida, which is about an hour from Orlando, where the
North.
cows and the horses live. So
Okay.
great place. My rent was $250 a month for that house. And I
Nice.
saved a little because the landowner needed somebody to clean his house, which was on the property. I said, well, I'll clean your house. Can you take something off my rent? So I had even more off my rent. 5 years of that amazing clean environment. Oh my good. Horses on one side, cows on the other. And I had to travel an hour to see my family, but it was worth it because the price of rent was so cheap. So that's where I realized, for one person, That's all I needed was 160 square feet. And then eventually, after 5 years, a friend of mine was managing an ashram in Altamont Springs, which is about 20 minutes from Orlando. And she said, I need somebody to come and live in this ashram during COVID because they're closing the ashram down. So she invited me to move in downstairs and occupy a beautiful space with a saltwater pool outside. And so I did that for over a year while I was trying to sell my tiny house on wheels. Finally sold my tiny house on wheels, and they were selling the ashram back then after I sold it. So they sold the ashram. I had to move again. And my son had recently divorced, and he had bought a house with a shed in his backyard. So we looked at this shed, and it had nothing in it, wood walls and tools and all this stuff, just tools. And I got the idea, I could renovate this, because I had already renovated a small shed out where I lived. I said, that was a nice little creative project. I looked around here. I said, I could renovate this place. So I took the money from the sale of my tiny house. This is 320 square, so it was double what I had before. So over like a 2-month period, I hired a contractor to put in plumbing and finish it, because it was already insulated. The walls were insulated. The ceiling was not. So I had to add a lot to it. But that process really taught me a lot about how inexpensive it can be to get into a shed.
Okay.
A shed, you just have to have creativity.
Okay, so when you did that, what was the process? Did you have to go to the city? Did you have to get permits? Did you have to write up, do blueprints?
I left it up to the contractor. He did everything.
Okay.
Did everything.
See, that was a blessing. I had a good contractor.
I left it up to him because I was paying him to put everything together. I left it up to him.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm grateful now that it didn't take a lot more money, and he gave me a lot of breaks on things. But hey, it's not that hard. You don't have to have a it all mansion like what do they call it? It doesn't have to be a king's palace, but comfortable with insulation and just enough, and a ceiling fan. Like right now, I got my ceiling fan going, because in Florida right now, it was 80 degrees in Florida today.
It was? Oh, I wouldn't know.
Yes. So most people probably turn the air on in this weather, but no, I'm like opening the windows, turn the fan on, and I don't have to worry about nothing else. My air conditioner is put away right now. I thought I wouldn't have to bring it out till or later in the year, but it's warm, but it's comfortable. That's the thing. Okay. We want people to build their own comfort place. Some people are comfortable living in their cars right now, and yet the establishment is trying to tell them you can't do that. It's like, what? We got to change we got to get some of these laws changed, because today in this society, those laws ain't working for us, especially seniors.
Well, but also there's some kids in college that are actually living in their cars because they can't afford the dorms. Well, and that was something I seen a lot in 2023, where the security was trying to shoo them out and say that, well, you got to be able to go here. Well, I go here, but I don't have enough money to stay in the dorms. And back in the day, I don't know if people went to college where you could sneak a friend that didn't have enough money, and y'all split it or whatever, and they were able at least to sleep. They can't do that because now they're clocking everybody and they videotaping everybody, and you have to be out by a certain time. You're in at a certain time. So they can't even afford to do that to the people that can, you know what I mean? So they resorted to them, and this is in San Diego, recorded California. They sleeping in their car that they converted their van. The only people they were not bothering if it was someone that like a handicap plate or homeless, like handicap. If they had a handicap plate, they got a pass because they seen their van or whatever, and they figured either they left it or whatever. And the way they had it covered, you couldn't tell that they were actually living in their car.
Okay, so where are their parents?
Some of these parents are not in San Diego. You got to remember that some of the colleges, they're coming from out of state. They're coming from out of, different cities to be able to go there. Some of them get scholarship, but they don't get enough scholarship for them to be able to live. Some of them are living on oodles or noodles, and I was seeing them eat oodles of noodles every day.
Well, that's college life, though. I'm sorry. I don't have a lot of sympathy for them as much as I have for a 70-year-old who's in their car living. It's
Right.
like the gap there is like, you're supposed to learn how to live in your car at 18 and 19. But seniors, 70, should they be learning to live? We should be helping our
because
seniors
they
and helping these young people learn some hard lessons. That's how I look at it. I'm sorry.
Right.
No sympathy. And if your mama and daddy send you to a college out of state and you can't communicate to them, Mom, I can't afford a dorm, then let mom and dad help you solve that problem, because you're only 18, 19. It's not like you 40 years old, you've been in the workplace forever.
Right.
That to me is a lack of communication between their parents and them, which they better learn how to solve, or unless they're just sleeping in their car somewhere. But that's a good lesson for 18, 19-year-old, but not for senior citizens. I don't
Right. I get you. Now, I myself and my son decided to convert because he had a job in San Diego. I lived in Tijuana, Mexico. And one night, which was so funny, they closed the Mexican border after he got off work. Guess what that means? I could not go home. So guess what I had to do? I had to sleep in my car. And you cannot just sleep in your car anywhere, number one. Number two.
In Mexico, you mean?
No. I couldn't even, my house was in Mexico.
Oh,
I was renting
a
house.
To Mexico.
I drive from Mexico to support and bring my son back and forth to work to San Diego. That's where he worked. So I would drive him. And to get across the border could be anywhere from 2 hours to 3 hours. Now he had to be to work at 2. So we had to leave at the house at 10 a.m. in order for him to get there at 2, because we didn't know about the bus or the train or how to get there. So what wound up happening is that when his job became really, and they kept shutting the borders down, this is during 2021, COVID, after COVID, post-COVID, whatever they were doing. I don't remember. But what we did is we had to find a parking lot that accept other people. And there was a lot of people older than me. There was families that were in a car, and there were 5 or 6 of them in a car, not a van, not a minivan, but living in a car. Now the thing is, and it was called the Jewish Family Foundation. You sign up. You tell them you have a car, you get your license plate, you got to have insurance and all that stuff. They check you out. And they have 2 parking lots. So you get to park your car in there so it's safe and it has security that makes sure. But at 7 a.m. in the morning, you have to be off the lot so that the people that work at the Jewish Foundation can come in and go to work. And they had like maybe 2 or 3 lots. That is a saving grace for some. But the thing is, it's cold out there, and the food, and how you're going to take a shower, and how you're going to take a bath. And there's a lot of elderlies. There was this guy that had been doing this at this lot. He had been there for 3 years, and he has sleep apnea. Where is he going to plug his machine at night? Do you know they try to make special provisions? So then what the community did is they started sponsoring, a person that came with a shower, that people were able to take showers at night. That's a big thing that people don't think about. You're living in your car. How are you going to take a shower? I watch Van Life. Van Life. There's a gentleman that runs Van Life, and he teach workshops on how to build your car and van or whatever, so you can actually live in it. He's real good, and he's out in Arizona inland. And now in Arizona, they passed a law. You cannot live in your van on your land. You know, if you have a van and you have the van life, you have to have a structure, a manufactured structure. Like, it's all about money and stuff. They want that taxes, because if you're living in your van, what can they charge you but the little bit of tax? Like, maybe $25 of taxes on the property. But if you have a house, your taxes go up and they can charge you more money. So now I'm seeing it as a money game, that the guy had the property, he bought property, and he was going to let people come and stay on there. And these are some options that I'm thinking of alternative living. If you have property, why not? There's another company called Hip Life, and they'll put you on the map where people can come in with their tents or whatever. But the requirement is you must have a septic toilet, and you have to have some kind of water so they can wash their hands. But if they can park there overnight, you can charge people and make it affordable. Now, they've been doing these videos on TikTok where the girl was paying $500 a month to live on someone's land, and she set her tent up where she had a stove and this and that she was able to live in her tent, got it set up, and they shared a shower, and it was good. And she said, you got to find these different places. Now, hers was 500. Might not find that for 500. You might find something for 600 or 800. But you gotta do the math. What does it save you on? So the thing is, what is the steps that you go about doing this? Supposing you get this property, how do you get your mail? Okay, I do what I do as an expat. Expat, we get expat mail, and we go to the post office. They either send it to us, FedEx or whatever, and you're able to get it, or you get a post office box. So you got to have an ID to get that, in order to do that, to be an expat, to also to do van life. So these are some of the things they teach you. These are some of the things that I want people to know, that if you have to, these are options out there. Look at Hiplot and see if you can be on the land, and that you're okay. If you need to get mail, if you need, something delivered, have a destination, different cafes. What is it? Whole Food has where you can get it from Amazon and delivered to Amazon. That was not by luck. That was by design, because not everybody can have stuff delivered. Or 7-Eleven have Amazon box and different boxes from different places for Temu and all that stuff, that people get stuff that you can actually get your mail. Because that's why some people stay where they stay and know that they can't, because they can't get their mail. They don't have a place to wash up. They don't have a place to go to the bathroom. Living in your car, you got to plan going to the bathroom meticulously, because
a lot of people, if you have a job, first of all, the question might be, do you have a job? Do you have a source of income?
right,
Because that will limit your options if you don't have a job. But
right,
I have seen several videos where people join health clubs. That's like
right.
$50 a month. So they go there. This one woman was so creative. She has a job. She had children. So she would drop her kids on, go to the health club, take a shower, and get ready for work. That's how they manage the shower thing. So find a health club, because they're very inexpensive. There's plenty of them around where you
YMCA is very
the other
good.
thing, on a spiritual level, some things you are going to struggle with if you don't have mindfulness. For instance, we've been taught over the last 111 years, if you practice mindfulness, wake up every morning and say, today is going to be my peaceful day. You write that on a piece of paper. You read it. Guess what? The monk promises the universe is going to reward you. People don't think like that. That's why this man had to show up, because we've been scattered looking at this and, oh, what am I going to do? And frustrated. And we got to protest in Minneapolis. We got to do this. But the universe, the cosmic order is ready now to help us, because this is 2026.
Right.
One equals unity. We are being asked to get into alignment with our universe and the cosmic order of things. That's what the message is for us today, and going through the whole year 2026. It's unity. So get in alignment. Write down every morning, today is going to be my peaceful day. Say it, write it, watch the universe help you where you didn't think you would get help. That's what
Right.
that's what has been missing in our journey from mom and dad and uncle and aunt and grandmother living in the same house to everybody doing their own damn thing, and they don't care who you are. You can be on the street homeless. We don't care. We don't care. That's where we are now. And we got to get back into alignment with unity, purpose, love, compassion, loving kindness, compassion, and peace. If you are not peaceful within, you're going to mirror whatever's going on inside of here. If you're struggling, you're at poor health, you're confused, you're hateful, you want to, it's going to come to you, it's coming at you. But now is the time to find peace within with your breath work, breathing in and out every day through every challenge. These students who can't find housing, they should be the ones practicing mindfulness more than anybody, because then the solutions will come to them. But if they're frustrated and angry because the university is not giving you the cheap housing, how about students need cheap housing? No, universities are going broke. They're going to go out of business soon, in my opinion. Who needs to go to a university when you have the internet? That's how I look at it. Paying all that money, even, people will say, sister, well, if you want to be a doctor or an engineer or something like that, you got to go to a university. Do you? Do we need any more medical doctors? They got med beds now. You need to learn how to operate these damn med beds now, not to be a doctor. And we got Chat GPT, we got AI. So times have changed. You don't need to spend 40, 50 grand a year to go to a university if you're not going to be in a technical area where you need the training for that from a university. Universities are giving you 4 years of BS, in my opinion, for most of us. We don't need a university anymore. We got the internet, we got AI, and so much more. You could go to a technical school, a college, learn a skill. And here's the other thing. When you're in high school, you should be working for people who you have a passion for in that area. You should be an intern in high school with businesses that are going to help you grow into whatever your passion is. Don't wait till you finish high school to decide, well, I think I want to be a teacher. I want to do this. I want to do that. High school, in fact, I'm saying elementary school, we need to start training our children about the entrepreneurship, the whatever profession you want to be in. We need to start it in elementary school, not high school. You remember how they used to have college recruits come into the high school trying to get you to go to their college? We don't need that anymore. We don't need to be spending money, especially if you don't have the money, because now what's happening? All these college grads with debt come out of college with $50,000 of school debt. And then they want it to be erased because they can't afford, they didn't get a job to pay for this college education. Things have got to be changed. We have to re-educate our youth, for one, and then re-educating ourselves on to be more compassionate, to be more loving kindness to our senior citizens. We know Mama AZ, look at the situation she's in now. She's about to be evicted. One of our friends and sisters, she's about to be evicted out of a nursing home. And so many people do not have the land or the facilities to help her out. So she's going to probably suffer for a little while, like most seniors are doing right now, who cannot afford to qualified, inexpensive housing. Right. So that's where our challenge is. Wherever we are, whatever we're doing, we need to re-educate and help the senior citizens, in my opinion, first, and then let these young people learn some hard lessons. If their parents aren't teaching them, School of Hard Knocks is there for you. To show you what you need to learn at this point in your life, because there's too many entitled youth, millennials and youth out there. I'm entitled to a house when I go to college, or I'm entitled to a roof over my head. Who said that? Who told you that? Wake up call here. When you go into college, you're going to have to struggle and suffer a little bit. Unfortunately, if your parents cannot afford to pay for your housing and board, or you're going to have to go in debt, Re-education. Let's start that in elementary school. Too many people go into college and like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to live in my car. Hello, life just slapped you in the face. At 18, that's where you need to learn that lesson. Not when you're 70. That's where we're lacking in loving kindness and compassion when our senior citizens are sleeping in their car.
Right. And the thing is that for some of the veterans out there that are homeless, when Obama was in the White House, President Obama was in the White House, he had set up a thing called HUD VASH. So these are some things that you can look into. I wish I could put all of this up on the screen. So what I'll do is I'll put a lot of the information, how you can get in touch with HUD VASH. HUD VASH is for veterans that are homeless. And sometimes they'll even put you in a shelter. And sometimes they'll put you on a waiting list. All depends. You can go to the VA health care or VA hospital and talk to them and ask to see a social worker and see if they can help you out with housing. They help out women, they help out men, women with children, men with children. They really, some of them go out. But the thing is, you have to have an honorable discharge. If you have other than this honorable or dishonorable discharge, there might be some questions they might and might not. And if you did some time incarcerated, that's also another to think about. We're talking about the elderly. What about the people that are coming out of prison that have been innocent, that are elderly and have not, are trying to adjust to the new world? Because when they went in, there was no YouTube, there was no AI, all the stuff. Now there's an adjustment. Where do they go? They're not even giving them information. They're just saying, here, you're out. They don't get a stipend. They don't get, I don't know what they get, but they don't get enough to survive. So, and they're elderly. It just happened to read a story. This man was in jail since he was 15 and got out when he was 64. Okay. 64. And to come to find out the man was innocent. So what do you do with a person? That is going to be a challenge. They don't know what a cell phone is, what a cell phone look like. You know, we got to gradually go with this generation of the technology growing up. They have to be re-educated. Do you know they're not re-educating these people? And because he's got to work on getting himself together, because he's been in jail since he's been 15, a teenager. He's a grown man ready to retire. Don't have a Social Security to build up on. Not everybody qualifies for SSI if you didn't put anything into it. How could he put anything in if he's doing time? So what do we do with people like that?
Okay, there's a guy in Chicago named Tyrone Muhammad. He spent, I think it was 15, 20 years in prison. He is so active in helping men and women who have been in prison reintroduce themselves to society. He's even running for Senate, I think. But he was on my show once, and that man, while he was in prison, he read like 3,000 books, something like crazy number. So he was preparing himself, in my mind, mentally to come out. And he is very active in the Chicago cannabis businesses. He's trying to help brothers in Chicago become entrepreneurs in setting up CBD businesses, cannabis. And it's been a battle with even the system, the city, the government to do that. And just recently, the mayor of Chicago vetoed a law that they wanted to pass to restrict men like out of prison, like you say, set their own cannabis business up. So he was celebrating the mayor for vetoing that, because that you have to have men like Tyrone come out of prison and create opportunities for the brothers who are coming out. So there's not a recidification, whatever you call it, where they go back in because they don't have nothing to do but do crime. So it's up to, I think, a lot of the men who have had that prison experience to create something new, to learn about this new technology like Tyrone is doing. Look him up on Facebook. because he's running for Senate. I'm 110% behind him because he is leading the way. He even gathered a bunch of men in Chicago to act as community security, going throughout communities and helping people feel safer in their community. So he's just one of the exceptions that we need more people like him with loving kindness, compassion, and peace in their hearts. It starts in the morning, you waking up to find peace inside of you, not being in turmoil when you wake up. Oh no, what's going to happen today? What's going to happen to me? The universe ain't going to help you. When you continually in confusion and turmoil and hatred and fear and all that, that you're going to reflect what you are. So we have got to push the message. Start your day with, today is going to be my peaceful day. And then you don't react. You stop reacting to the Trumps and the Epstein file and all that, because that's just creating more chaos. I can just see it every day. People sending me Facebook messages about all the people on the Epstein list. I'm like, what does that have to do with me? It's like, but you're getting upset about it because you're like thinking, well, they should be in jail. Really? In this crooked system, nobody going to jail. They just paying each other to be covered and hidden and take care of them. And in this court matrix, we could call it, nobody's going to jail. Look at Jeffrey Epstein. It's believed to be in Israel right now. People have been sending out photographs saying Jeffrey Epstein is alive and well in Israel. The Mossad are covering him and protecting him. And you are worried about his list. Really? That's how mindless we are. And those are, sister, what I'm seeing, the spiritually blind. You know, we've got a sister coming on my show tonight. Thanks to you, who introduced me to this amazing woman who's going to help us move into our spiritual energy more and more and more and more. Because that's what we need. We gotta live. We that's cannot. If you're going to stay spiritually blind, you're going to suffer. And I keep hearing that from my spirit guides, my ancestors. If people don't wake up and stop being spiritually blind out of the third dimension and get into more fourth dimension, fifth dimension reality, you're going to suffer. And that's what people are doing now. Oh, look at how bad the Epstein files. Oh, look how bad Trump is. What does that have to do with my evolution and spiritual growth? Not a damn thing. So we got to stop being distracted by third dimensional realities, which is chaos, confusion, fear, hate. A new virus is coming out. Fear, fear, fear. Okay, I'm not going to be distracted by that. I'm going to close my eyes and start my breath work again and just get that monkey mind out of my way, because I don't need that in this 2026 age of Aquarius coming up. We don't need that, other you're going to suffer. That's what the reality is. Suffering is coming if we don't get out of this to being distracted with all the things going on around us that have nothing to do with us creating peace within and peace in our families and our environment.
Right. So I wanted to talk about some of the things, some solutions, because that's the big thing. Now, if you have a house and maybe you're an empty nester, it would be, this is a suggestion, a good idea to maybe rent out these rooms to the elderly or a veteran. Now, the laws is, at least in Florida, you can rent these rooms out to the elderly, and you provide 3 meals for them. Make sure their medicine, they go to their doctor's appointment, shopping, whatever. You can do that if you're under 4 people in the house. You're not going to have a license to do that. When you reach 5, that's when they want, in the state of Florida, at least in Polk County, they want you to have a license. And it's easy to get a license because it's called adult family care. And you could do it a couple of ways. You could do it where they're in a room, you share a bathroom, or they share a bathroom. You make sure their medicine is locked up, you know what I mean, or they can get to it, but you remind them. You do not give them the medicine because you are not a nurse. And if you're not certified, a certified nurse or a LPN, I wouldn't do it. But if you are, you have that more flexibility to be able to administrate it, their medicine, even though it's a prescription for them. But what you can do is put it in a pill box for them to be able to take. So another thing is you're offering 3 meals a day. And it's not like if you're like a single empty nester, all you're doing is just adding another egg or whatever it is that you eat or whatever that they're on. If they're on a special diet, of course, you want to abide by that and find out. So it might be involved where they actually see a nutritionist or someone to help them with transition to their diet to adhere for them to eat better. That could be that you could have a dietitian come out to the home and do things. And if they need physical therapy, they could come out and do physical therapy out in your home with them. That someone, because it's called an outward bound program, at least for the VA, that I know they have the outward bound program. But there's different things that you can look into if you want to go that route by offering them a bed and making sure they eat, 3 meals a day, that they're taken care of. They tell you, I do know an inspector does come out and check your property. And just in case, if you have a property that is crooked or whatever, the pavement. So if they have a wheelchair, they're going to be able to get in there. You might want to put some ADA bars in them to get in and out of the bathroom. Or, if they need to use the toilet, maybe that would be feasible. Another thing that I found out by doing this, what you could do is also, they want you to put your knives up. They don't want knives around. And that is for if you're doing a veteran, because maybe you have post-traumatic stress syndrome. You want to make sure that you're mentally prepared for all the things that you're going to do, because you're inviting someone into your environment. And it's called family adult care. And I'm saying the word family. This is not just it's making money. It is you're helping them rehabilitate, get their self together. You might be the stop that they need when you're offering a bed, a shower, soap, or whatever they need. You can work with different social workers from different organizations. Get to know in your community what is needed to help some of these elderly. Some of them, you would think they have paratransit. I found out there is no such thing as paratransit where I live at. Okay. So if you do not have a car and there is no bus that runs out, I'm in the country and I'm a country girl and I like that. So you definitely need a car. You need a function. You need a driver's license. Supposing they can't drive. Supposing they don't have a driver's license. So that's going to be your responsibility. You also want to make sure that 911 knows that you can be reachable, because sometimes when you live far out, that 911 can't reach you. Or if you have internet, 911 is not really good. And I'll give you an example. Back when the phone came out on the VOP, back in the day, my daughter passed away. Do you know the machine did not work and I couldn't make a phone call? And my daughter was not able to get 911 because the phone went through the computer. Not the line, the computer. That, if it had worked, might have did something. But I'm saying, don't rely on it. This just makes me aware of things that can and be prepared for your home. And you want to make sure that they're going to be comfortable. But you also want to interview the person that is going to be in your home, and they're going to be with you, because like I said, they become family. It's called family adult care. And there is prices that you can work with them to actually come and stay. Like there's some things like you have a shed, like she said, convert the shed and maybe make it a studio. That I lived in a trailer, and that's when I know, guess what? Tiny living is not for me. I learned, especially with my son and 2 dogs. No way. Maybe if I was just by myself, but I didn't like living in and I was looking for housing. So I've tried many different housing things and I found my fit. I know what I need, but also I know that I need the farm. So for me, what I am trying to do is bring that to my veterans, that they're also getting therapy. They're also being involved in the community. And if it's someone elderly, that we're on the same wavelength of thinking that I'm not battling. So you got to be very careful, because there is your space and you want to remain that they have their sanctuary, that you definitely have your sanctuary. So there's that. You can convert your shed. I've seen some 80 units where they are converting garages into ADU units for people to stay in, because they're insulated. Some of them, they got a roof, they got a door and the front door. There are people that are living just like that because they can't afford to live, and they don't want to move. So this woman made a suggestion to this lady in California. How about if I rent out your garage? And the girl was like, what? How about I rent out your garage? So she had an air conditioner in there and she rented out. Her and her daughter stayed in there. And of course it had closed, but she had to make sure that it was latched. And it was two of them staying in there and living. And they both had jobs, but the market is sometimes not enough for you to make it. So what do you do in cases you have skills, but the country is not respecting the skills that you do or do not appreciate them? Now CNAs, some CNAs only make $10 an hour. And there's some hardworking people. Used to be a CNA. I made it all the way up to LPN. And I did home health care. So I know. I went to the agency, but I worked in nursing home. So I'm just saying there's some jobs out there. Some people are working McDonald's and Burger King because that's their only option. Or, you know what I mean? Like supposing a kid grew up and, I'll give you a situation. You've been married to this man for 21 years. 21 years. You were a homemaker. You took care of the home. Your kids are, your last kid is going to college. Your husband comes home. You know what? I don't want to be with you anymore. I'm divorcing you. You got to start off from steps. And certain religions, not going to name them, but I know a couple of them and I was involved in them. The woman starts over. She leaves with nothing. And she doesn't even get the money for being a homemaker, keeping that house together. And not going to shut it, one religion I know that I used to be involved with, we used to have what we call Relief Society, where we learned about home ec, how to pay bills, how to cook, how to can, all that stuff. That's what I liked about it. Then somewhere down the line, they decided they were not doing that. The women were not doing that. They wanted the women to go to the fireside and actually be married. I had a problem with that. And they were training the young men to say, your mom needs to be at the single fireside, even if she's not married, to get her married. And I had a young lady that was a friend of mine in Arizona. That's what she strived for. She had 3-4 boys. They got married and they were pushing her to get married. She moved from Arizona to Virginia, and this man abused her before they could even get married. Guess what? She had to pack all her stuff and come right back to Arizona to start at ground zero again. Hadn't had a job, hadn't worked, had to, starting over. So I know so many stories of these women that are homeless. Like, where do you go to stay after you have no home?
As we grow in mindfulness, we ask, what is the lesson for me? Because we can't stay in victim mode forever, because there's no power in that. So in any situation like that, once a woman can take a breath, maybe she hasn't been breathing, once you can take a breath and realize, okay, this is a heavenly lesson for me. It might have been karma. It might have been a past life that put you in this situation. But at some point, we have to just grow up a little and just take responsibility for where I am today and say, what's the lesson and how do I get out of this mess I'm in? So we can't keep dwelling on the past. We got to say, what is the creator trying to teach me? That's where you get into mindfulness, breathing and meditating and saying, today, this day, come out of the past. We're done with that. That ain't helping us. Come out of that mind that, oh, look what happened, blah, blah, blah. And then don't worry about the future, because then that's fear. So you look at the energy there, what you just described. You're in the past. You can't figure out what's going on right today because you haven't been mindfully meditating and breathing and saying, what am I to learn from this situation? And how can the universe help me? Because some situations we're not going to get out of without the help of the cosmic energy and the love of our creator. The love of our creator will get us out of any mess. But we got to take time to breathe and meditate and say, now in this present moment, I'm going to change my situation and not keep dwelling on the past, because that's not going to help, and not keep fearful. I have a friend who is, she has a house like you described. She's an empty nester, okay? She got 2 bedrooms, but she's in her 70s. Mm-hmm. And she's afraid of bringing anybody in that house that ain't going to get along with her. Anybody in that house who's not going to eat like her, think like her, meditate like, she's afraid. There's a lot of fear in her life about what you just described, bringing people in. And you're right, there's a process that you have to go through, especially if you're going to bring a veteran in your house who might have some mental illness, some PTSD. So you got to think about the process to get that person in a peaceful place in your house where you can tolerate, live with them. So this friend of mine is getting ready to sell her house and move into an assisted living place. She can, the people who can do that are really blessed and fortunate, because it costs a fortune to live in a really nice assisted living place. You're talking upwards of $4,000 a month. But with that, you get medical assistance, you get a drive into your doctor's appointment, you get 3 meals a day. You get a nurse on staff for 24 hours. You get games you can play, movies. And depending on the assisted living place, you're going to be living, but you got to pay for that. So if you don't have a house to sell, you have to consider what you just recommended, bringing somebody in. But if you got a lot of fears and worries and concerns about bringing new people in, you're going to have to get rid of that and find mindfulness, peace, meditation to bring the right person in. That's where mindfulness helps you. You're going to get the right person in your house if you are really focused on having peace within about whoever shows up, that it's from the universe and it's meant to help you in your situation. Otherwise, you're going to be afraid of what they're going to do next. Maybe they might kill you, whatever. Fear, and regret are what people deal with more often when they're in the past or the future, instead of in the present moment, dealing with your, having peace about wherever you are. That's the whole game right now in 2026. Peace in here first, and then the universe, angels, ancestors, gonna help you out, because peace. I feel peace energy. Well, let's help her. But if we don't have that, you're gonna suffer, because that's what you're creating.
Right. Well, I would want to give other suggestions. Like, look for organizations that make like-minded people. Like my favorite show, I know is kind of corny, is The Golden Girls.
The Golden Girls?
The Golden Girls, how they got together and they had different
you mean the TV show?
Yes. It's like that, like The Golden Girls. Or Girlfriends with what was it? Queen Latifah, Kim Fields, and
the movie, yeah.
Right, like them living together, like things like that could be an environment. You could actually make companions and girlfriends and friends if you do something like that. Someone of your age, like you get together, girl, I'm your age, and we got something in common. So we're all living together and we're getting along. You know what I mean? That it's nice because we got in common. We're the same age. We're working together. So what organization, like what are some of the things that you like to do? Whether it's puzzles, whether it's reading, whether it's dancing. There might be
churches can sometimes be helpful. Sometimes.
Yeah, churches, if that's your thing. Bless your
Yeah,
soul.
wherever
I'm,
you
I'm
have,
not knocking anybody, but
yeah, wherever you have connections and relationships with people, that's the start. That's the
right.
start.
So you start there and figure out what's there, because you might um, be blessed to meet someone that is in the same situation, that, or you might be able to help
Absolutely.
them, or it might be a single mother with a child. Um, this is what my mother did when I was a kid. She had a young lady that was pregnant, and it was an organization. I don't remember how they met, but she was pregnant. She had nowhere to go. She was a single mother. So my mom rented out a room to her, and she became like a big sister. And she was in there till she had the baby. They helped her get a place, gave her some life skill coaching and stuff like that. So there's other organizations, like maybe you've never had grandkids and you want grandkids or whatever, and you could be a surrogate grandparent to them, or a surrogate mother to them, without going through the birth, what have you. But those are different suggestions of getting there, because some of us get into a position where we have a house, and like you said, you can't afford it, and you can't afford the note because things have changed, and things are high, electric is high, there's other alternatives. That's what I said, we're going to give some more helpful hints later on down the line, especially about housing and some alternative things. My brother knows that I'm going to talk about my famous toilet thing. My brother Michael talking about it today. I'm going to leave it alone.
You mean your
But
compost?
no, the other one.
Oh, the
The
other one.
incinerator.
Okay. Your incinerator toilet. Hey, that's part of the process,
Right. So I think outside the box. I'm one of them. I've always thought outside the box. And I had to think about it. The reason why I'm outside of the box of, I have different cultural backgrounds. I've had different people in my life all my life, to expose me to a lot more and different. Where people would say, my aunt, and maybe I'm bougie. I don't think I'm bougie at all, but to the other person I might, but it don't matter to me. So where I had a godparent, my one godparent was of color and the other godparent was not. The other godparent cooked all the time. The other one does. My godfather was a highly, he was a chief cardiac doctor in Baltimore, making big time money. Where my godmother, she worked at Gimbel's at the makeup store, and she loved what she did, and she would cook. I remember my summers and stuff being with her and cooking with her, and some of these things that we did. She was an Italian, Irish tyrant, Irish and Italian. So I got a different meals and backgrounds and different exposures because of that. So that is why I am very versatile, or maybe I adapt more than people, other people. I can live anywhere. Like I said, I've lived in my car. It was for a short bit, because I couldn't get back home. That was a blessing to me, because I couldn't cross the border, where my house that I paid rent at because they couldn't close the border.
But
But I was,
that was a powerful lesson in
yeah.
my mind. When I hear that story, that is such a powerful lesson that my dad taught me about the psychology of adjustments. When you have to make that kind of adjustment, you have to really be in faith mode, not fear mode, because otherwise the stress is going to make it worse. So you had to just chill, say, okay, let's just sit in the park or do this, but we're not
Yeah.
gonna worry about it. Just gonna roll with the punches. And that's a powerful lesson. And I think that's the way we gotta look going forward. Anytime something like that happens, oh, what's the lesson here? And how can I keep my peace? How can I keep my peace when something
That
like
one.
that happens? And what is the lesson? Because the universe is all love and trying to teach us how to be loving and love ourselves.
Right. So this has been good. And we're
Yeah,
going
thank
actually
you.
going over time.
Yeah, but
We
it's
went
it's
over
it's
time.
in divine order these days, because I feel like as we're moving into the age of Aquarius, we need to just get the spirit's message in the moment out. And this is our moment the process that we just talked about of finding affordable housing, the
Mhm.
options we have, and no more than anything, have peace in this house while you're in this process. Because this process is going to be like a roller coaster. It's going to
Ashe.
be like the walk of the monks. It's going to be snowing and hail and rain. And the most moving thing that happened in this March for Peace, the monk came back to Texas, and he's standing there watching people standing in the rain listening to him. And he said, I feel so bad that you're out there in the rain and I'm under this. He said, I'm coming out there in the rain and talk to you. He went out from under this cover, stood in the rain and talked, and the tears were everywhere. Everybody was just crying. This man was amazing. He stood in the rain with everybody else. He said, I can't stand in here, but with you all out there, all these people in the rain, we have to have that loving kindness and compassion about everybody in our lives. Like you said, whether it's a veteran, people, seniors, college students. I'm sorry, you all gonna stand in the rain. You need the lesson. I ain't gonna be trying to get no college students out the rain. Okay, what are you gonna do about it? They gotta learn. They gotta learn early the psychology of adjustments. But seniors who are weaker and not able, and veterans who deserve the respect that we
Right.
should be giving them. That's different. That's
Right.
different. And we
Well,
missing that right now.
I'm going to see if I'm going to talk to my brother to see if maybe possible I can have Mama AZ on to talk about her experience, because she does talk about how a blessing and she is just like, Mary and Joseph going out there in the storm of being homeless, and she's not worried. And I call her and she gets a kick out of me. I don't know why, because I'm like, I'm just doing what I do. She said, but you don't understand. You stay so positive. I was like, if you only see me at certain times when I want to cry. Um,
She would be a great guest for you because she's going through the process of finding peace wherever she is.
right.
It's a journey for her to find peace wherever she is. And she stays in peace for a little while and then some, and then she adjusts really well. She's an
Mhm.
excellent student in the psychology of adjustment. So yeah, I would highly recommend you bring her on to share her journey.
Yeah, because she's been through a lot. You guys don't know that,
Yeah, she's a
I
book.
have,
She's definitely a book.
and I have some other people that I want to maybe, if they're willing to share their story of exactly of what they've gone through, because like I said, I have a friend that has been nothing supportive of her sister, moved to Arizona to help her sister. She know who she is. She's probably watching. Help her sister, get her sister through things. That didn't work out, and she was called to go back home, and she helped her daughter. She helped her son. She's just one of those people. She helped her girlfriend. She moved from one part of Florida to another part of Florida because that's what she did, to be the grandmom, to help her and the relationship. A lot of us as parents and grandparents make a lot of sacrifices for our children and our grandchildren, but sometimes it calls it a piece of our physical body, but also our mind, because we're so busy helping, but we're not helping ourselves. And that's what sometimes, like we were just talking, sometimes spirit's like, I gotta slow you down. What can I do to like make you sit down and shut up? And
Well,
like,
one of the things I've learned, sister, when you reach 70, as I've done, you slow down. It's no more running miles. No, walk. I'm walking everywhere. I don't run. No, don't run. Don't need to. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not in a 9 to 5 job situation. I'm creating content on YouTube and I'm maintaining my peace. That's the most important thing for me. And I think all senior citizens, if you're on Social Security, you only unlimited income, you just got to slow down. And you don't need it to eat a whole lot, that's for sure. So
right.
you learn as you get older, slow down, take your time, and maintain your peace. Don't let any, and don't be trying to help everybody in your family because that's not your job anymore. Sorry. My son was having a discussion with me today because his younger brother lives with his dad and he had to buy a new car because his old car crapped out again. This is about the third car he's had. But his dad is able to help him buy a new car. And my oldest son, well, what are we going to do if his dad died? What are we going to do? I said, honey, that's not your problem. Stop trying to fix grown folks' problems. I felt like, oh, I've really grown into this, not worrying about everybody in their business. The
There you
message
go.
for all of us is stay in your lane and mind your own divine business. You don't, especially with grown folks. Stop trying to control grown folks. When your kids reach 18, 19, you pretty much have no influence over their life. They through high school, they've been influenced by their peers. When they go to college, they could become alcoholics because they drink so much in college. And then they come and go get married, and their wife don't want to hear your voice, and they don't really want to hear your voice. So it's like, I'm finally at the place where I ain't got to control everybody else's life. I'm just going to take care of me and stop trying to help all these grown folks. That's not what we do anymore. We only bring peace to this vessel so that that peace will radiate out to everybody in your family, then your community, and guess what? The cosmic order universe gonna help you and everybody else because you have peace. So that's the final word from me. Just keep your peace. Don't try and control everybody. Don't be a narcissist like our president. The President Trump is the perfect example of extreme narcissistic energy. He is a sideshow in this stage of life. What does Shakespeare say? The whole world is a stage. Here's Trump and the whole administration and the government, the Democrats, the Republicans. Sideshow, sideshow. Because they ain't done the doodly squid for us. They just fill in their pockets with money from APAC and all other lobbyists. And we out here struggling like, oh no, look at the Epstein list. That's not our business. No, stop it. Stop it. That's not our business. Sideshow, sideshow. You are the main attraction. Keep the peace and create things with Dr. D and myself that will bring you affordable housing and that will bring you peace.
Find your tribe, because
that's
your
right.
tribe.
Find your tribe. That's what we're going to talk about tonight at 8:00 on my
tell them the channel.
Was my channel, the Tiny House Village, tonight at 8. We've got Woonam, Nikki Love,
Nikki Love,
who Dr. D was very kind to refer to me, and we're going to talk about across nations and tribes restoring peace and unity. That's what 2026 is all about. So I hope this has been helpful for your audience to find unity and peace, and we're going to continue this discussion for the rest of the year. We got to.
Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. And I hope you'll stay tuned as we get this channel up and hopping and just giving you things that you need. If you see the bell, I want you to click the bell, and I would like you to subscribe to this channel, and you'll get future updates, what's going on and what the topic will be as well. Also, I want you to go to Vallada's channel, subscribe, click the bell so you get notifications of what her show is about. And I definitely hope to see you at the show tonight, because it's going to be phenomenal. If you guys have done Blog Talk, y'all know about Nikki Love. If you did the Food Alchemy Network, you know about Nikki Love and my friendship with her, and wonderful person and very blessed. So I hope everybody will stay tuned, and thank you so much. This has been An Even. I am signing off.
All right. It's been a pleasure, my sister. Let's do this again. I'm typing in the name of my YouTube channel as we go, in case people. YouTube tonight at 8, Vallada's Tiny House Village. There you go. All right. Love you, dear.
Okay. Why is it not? Okay, there we go.
All right, you have a blessed afternoon, and
you too. Oh, I got somebody. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't even see the comments.
You want to post those? Do you want to post those now?
Yes, I'm trying to figure out how to even. Okay, private chat. Okay, now why aren't you not? Okay. Oh, y'all just be doing all kinds of stuff. Alrighty. Nope. It is not letting me do this. Never.
Can you click on the comment and it'll come up in the screen?
Let me see. Copy. I'm gonna put it in comments. because it's not letting me do a
Yeah,
lot.
go to comments and then click on the comment.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix this computer. I put it on there.
All right.
It's still going. Okay.